I'm here with Jay
Sternitzky?
Sternitzky.
I showed you. I showed you. Ski. I didn't just say it. I showed it to you. I mimed it to you.
You gave me the miming.
I've known you for 8 years.
I know.
Just because there's a Z in it, it doesn't fucking make everything crazy.
It does, though.
No, it doesn't.
How many last names have Z's in them?
Mine, and the third from the last letter. How can it be that? Ski. I mimed it to you. Come on, man. Welcome to the show.
That's not how you pronounce sky.
Ski. Sternitzky.
Okay. I'm here with Jay. Now I can't fucking say your name. Sternitzky.
Hello.
It's because you keep staring at me like that. Okay. Here with Jay Sternitzky and J. James McFarland. Jay, you're primarily known for a independent comic called Short Stack.
Tales of a Superhuman Plumber.
I'm not as familiar with your work.
I've been self-publishing for about 8 years, originally in the Portland area and now in the Denver and Boulder area. I have a variety of smaller stories and some larger ones, ranging from some of the new things that I put out this year, 48-page comic called The Friendly Belligerent Comic Spectacular.
The Friendly Belligerent Comic Spectacular.
Yes,
okay.
That's right.
Tell us what that's about.
It is a collection of stories that are all from 2017. 48 pages. It's my first compendium of my work.
Okay.
I also have an ongoing series called Maze with an I.
Okay.
And that's about 4 unique individuals who come together in a speakeasy in Prohibition era New York. And the 4 of them are going on an adventure together to South America in search of fame, adventure, and immortality. And that should be completed in about a year. I've got 2 issues completed now, and the 3rd one is written. And what are some of the other things I've got going on? I just made a popular religious tract about Star Wars.
A popular religious... Explain.
Went through hundreds of them at Denver Comic Con. Is the dark side real, or are we all just assholes? I believe in the Force, and people need to know that you don't have to be seduced by the dark side of the Force. So the Jedi have come and they've shown us a better way.
Okay.
And so I've gone to great lengths to carry that message.
Okay. So you're preaching the word of the Jedi, in other words?
In as much as I am a lowly vessel for such a message.
I, admittedly, don't know much about Star Wars, but what I do know is that I probably belong on the Sith side, leading the Sith side, so...
You fit right in with the book, then.
Okay. And Jay, talk about some of your other works besides Short Stack, and tell us a little bit about what Short Stack, Adventures of a Superhuman Plumber, is about.
Well, Short Stack's about a guy who can shrink to half an inch tall, and used to be a superhero, and now he's a plumber, but he can guarantee your drains are clean, but in the long run, it's about a guy who really doesn't take the best care of who he is as a person and just goes with what's ever easy, and how that comes back to bite him in the ass in the long run.
And he's an inventor as well, right?
He's not. His best friend is.
His best friend is. Okay. Yeah, forgive me. It's been about 2 years, I think, since I last read it.
Yeah. So I've got copies for you.
I loved the invention in it, cigarettes that don't cause cancer.
No, yeah, that's a nice one. Yeah,
that was very nice.
That's just me taking care of myself at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
hey,
I do know what you mean.
If I can write a comic book, somebody can do it.
So, in Short Stack, he can shrink. He cannot grow, correct?
No, cannot grow. Just shrink. And it's kind of fits with his character because his whole life he's never taken any initiative. He's always just kind of gone with the flow, whatever's happened to him. Mm-hmm. He can shrink. That's what he does when anything comes to him. He's always you know what I mean? He's always just shrunk away from it and just dealt with it. Like, you know what I mean? Instead of being active and taking an active force in his life, he never was. So the whole, metaphor.
I can understand that. I think most of the comics I've done are metaphors for something, usually something
Exactly.
I fucked up in my life.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
I can fully understand that.
So obviously I have never obviously taken control of my own life, and I find myself dictated by circumstances that I didn't choose. Thank you. It's become psychotherapy.
Well, you did publish your own comics, so that's taking control to at least some degree.
I like making comics.
So
Comics are fun.
currently you are up to 6 issues,
6 issues,
and
yes.
you have a trade paperback.
We do have the first 4 issues are out, and then we have the issues 5 and 6. It's a bit of a delay. My brother got hit by a car riding his bike, and then he started doing something special. So this book's on a hiatus for a bit right now, probably for about in the next 18 months.
About 18 months, okay. Do you want to talk about the special thing Drew is doing?
Sure. Drew, when he was doing his recovery, his right arm, which he uses to draw, and his brain weren't damaged in the bike accident. And he started doing strips. And the strips are something that are completely different for comics, and I don't think anybody's ever done anything like it. And when I look at it and see how special it is, I told him to stop doing whatever he's doing with our stupid little book and do this, because this is something transcendent. It's something really spectacular, I think.
Yeah.
Something that is, I mean, I don't know. I'm a nobody guy who lives in a town of 1,500 people in Colorado, but this is fucking Eisner-worthy shit that he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's high praise, especially with how many comics you read.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, nobody's doing any. No one's seen anything like what he's doing.
so do either of you have any other releases that are coming up in 2017 or early 2018?
I'm gonna have the 3rd issue of Maze coming out in 2018. I'm gonna follow up my 48 pager, which is the Friendly Belligerent Comic Spectacular #1 with a #2. The 2nd issue will have 3 6-page stories.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to stick with the 18-page format from then on for myself. And I want to put out one of those annually from now on. I feel like I broke the ice with the 48-pager. It's the biggest book I've put together myself, so
Okay.
I'm proud of that. Definitely be Maze 3. And I don't know if we want to talk about it.
No,
My 24-hour comic compendium. But I'm going to have a compendium of 7 complete 24-hour comics.
Okay.
There's math involved in that. So about 168 pages, I think.
Yep.
So it'll be 7 consecutive years.
You did the last 5 at Time Warp with us?
The last 3 and the upcoming 4th year.
So, okay.
And the 3 prior to that were done in Pasco, Washington. And it's all one character. His name's Eric the Red. And so I'm going to call this the first week. I think that's clever enough for 7 issues in one compendium of 24-hour comics.
I think so as well. So, how are you releasing that? Soft cover or hardcover?
That's definitely going to be soft cover.
Okay. And for your guys' releases, are you both doing print-on-demand type books? Are you doing offset per runs that are distributed through Diamond? How are you getting them out there?
For everything that I self-publish that doesn't go through a publisher or isn't commissioned, I tend to travel with cities that have specialty stores that already carry my work. Being in Portland now, I tend to go to Floating World and Cosmic Monkey. There's also places around Denver that I go to, such as Mutiny and Time Warp Comics. There's a variety. I have them available on my website, friendlybelligerent.com. I ship them out by mail. I get a lot of orders that way. And I tend to go to 6 or 7 comic book conventions every year.
Okay.
For me, at least for short stacks definitely print on demand. I usually do about 100, 200 copies at a shot for the trades. Issues, I do a lot less because I don't want to pay for the overhead of the issues and just sit there on them. To the point where I don't sell issues 1 through 4 anymore. It's just the trade, and then 5 and 6 if you that much. But you get a huge discount if you see me at a show and you get it. You know what I mean? It's instead of paying, I think it's $20 for all 6 issues. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
Yeah, but outside of that, I think I actually just met with a buddy of mine who's an editor and doing the book that we were talking about, Drew's strip book earlier, hardcover. landscape format, like a webcomic size hardcovers.
Right.
When he's like on the Private Eye, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what I think we're going with there. And that will be out hopefully early next year. It's not going to be out this year. We want to get about 40 to 50 pages of it, so it's worth our while. You know what I mean? Worth our while to print it in the hardcover format and really get something robust out of it.
Right.
Outside of that, you saw the book. I worked with another artist, Matteo Cantu, and we're talking about doing a book called Poached right now, which is about a bunch of. It's kind of like the idea of We Three, but not We Three. But the animals are all trained to be anti-poachers.
Okay.
They were all rescued at one point by a government. The government collapses in the Civil War, and they're left to defend for themselves in their sanctuary. And this is what they become: is this unit that goes out and just starts taking out everything that took them out. And I mean, it's a really hard thing to do. It's pretty political in a lot of ways because you don't want to have certain races looking like the bad guys. So we've decided to make everybody silhouettes. They're all just gray. Like, so any of the people are gray.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else is just the animals reacting and trying to how they do it.
What type of animals does it feature?
African. So it's you have a lion. You've got basically your basic everything.
African animals.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a South African country that gets in the Civil War. Everything. The research program that they were part of dissolves because of the Civil War. You know what I mean? They're left to defend for themselves, and when they're left to defend for themselves, this is what they decide to do together.
That one sounds very interesting to me.
Yeah.
I really like the animals gaining sentience and
and they
type of approaches. Like, have you read Animosity?
Yeah.
Yeah. I absolutely love that book. So
yeah, it's one of those things too. I just think that there's taking the human person out of it and just seeing what they're doing to the action. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Right.
I'm not some super bleeding heart liberal. You know what I mean? I'm worried about. I love my kitties. Don't get me wrong. I love my kitties. Good kitties. But there's something about the idea that you didn't have to frame a race to it, because that was my first thought, was like, oh, you're going to use because they're going to be black people, and you didn't want to do that. You know what I mean? But once you start taking it to the animal side, and they just see them as gray blobs they look like people. You know what I mean? But they're just gray, and there's no difference. It made it that much easier to do and really tell a fucking fun story with characters that look like Walt Disney, but they fucking rip the shit out of people at the same time.
And do these animals talk?
Communicate telepathically. They have like little.
So they communicate with one another.
Yeah,
but any humans that they came across wouldn't understand them.
No, they wouldn't hear them. Yeah, they're just telepathic. It's just kind of they've been hardwired.
Right.
The one thing we were trying to steer away from the We Three, like really super mechanized things.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one thing I told them, like they have something on their head. You know what I mean? That's right there, that says boom. Like, you can communicate with each other, but everything else is going to be really fucking pretty natural. You know what I mean? And Mateo's like, so what? Like, the elephant's got a cane on its back. Who's going to load the cannonball? I'm like, well, every time you see the elephant, you see a bird on its back. Why can't the bird load the fucking cannonball? He's like, oh, god damn it. So, I mean, it's things like that. You know what I mean? And it's just throwing ideas off. And it was Mateo's idea. And
are there any African species of monkeys?
There are. There's a chimpanzee.
They could load cannonballs as well.
Yeah, but there's a chimpanzee in a group. But I just like the idea of the bird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you always see the bird standing on the top of the back of the elephant.
Mm-hmm.
He just flies up, just grabs it with his beak, fucking puts it. No, and I think it was Mateo's idea, and it was pretty funny. I do the classic every 24 hours with Mateo. I do the what 3 things do you want to draw? Because that's what I'll write. You know what I mean? I'll give you what you want to fucking draw. And his was he wanted to draw animals, he wanted to draw machinery, and he wanted to draw guns, and he wanted to draw violence. And that's what we came.
Violence?
Violence, yeah.
It's very specific.
And then at Denver Comic Con this year, I looked at J. James, and I was like, hey, do you want to do a story together? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, what do you want? And he said that he wanted to draw jetpacks, landscapes, and machinery. And so now we've got a story that we've just started to get going on too.
Okay, do you want to talk about what that story is?
Absolutely. So the story's going to focus on 2 siblings of the youngest age. An older girl who's 12, and the younger brother.
No, she's 17. She's 17.
Oh, okay.
17 to 14. Just saying.
I'm not writing it.
Okay.
I've done the character designs, and we've done a number of illustrations for
And
it.
you've read it. Okay. I mean, I could probably talk more to it. I just didn't know how much you had read of it. Apparently not very much.
I read all of it. My retention is for it.
I'm just giving you shit too. No problem.
They are isolated in the forest with their father, who is a bit of a religious zealot, and
Which religion?
it's non-specific.
Okay.
It doesn't take place in our world.
Okay, fair enough.
Something similar, but not ours. You know what I mean?
Fully understand. So like Game of Thrones, Lord of Lights, a lot like Jesus.
No,
but...
more futuristic, more Luddite. Like they're Luddite. Like their father's a Luddite and moved away as the city becomes a machine in and of itself and is becoming completely self-mechanized, realized thing. He took them out of it.
Okay.
So they don't live in the regular world that everyone else lives in. So he's also an alcoholic and beats them to fuck. Their mother died building their house. Their house is ramshackle. Everything is supposed to be what did I say? It was supposed to be. It resembles our world, but it's just slightly askew. So everything's just a little bit different. You know what I mean? Nothing quite works the same way. Wouldn't you agree?
Definitely. It's a world of machines.
This is the part. See, this is the. I've written up to how we get to the city. I need to see how he draws the city before I can decide how the city's going to work.
Okay, that makes sense.
So right now we're following the characters as they're going through a transitionary situation and entering into this realm, the more populated realm of the cities, and what's outside of the forest that is all that they know. It's very much a runaway story, and they don't know what they're getting into yet. But it's going to be very visually heavy on machinery, and can't wait to.
Like I said, I can't wait to
physics
see.
of it.
I can't wait to see the city moving in my head. You know what I mean? The way, basically, like when in the society that they live in. Basically, at 6 months you're chipped, and whatever your chip is, you can go where the city lets you go where you're going. But if you don't have that chip, the city's not going to let you go there. These people have never been chipped, and they got to figure out how they're going to try to figure out. They're trying to find their aunt.
What format will that be coming out in?
I think honestly, it works best as a graphic novel. Wouldn't you say? I don't think. I think. You can do it probably. I think 120 pages. You could probably get that story in and out and right. Just off the top of my head, just me. But I think 120 pages you get it in, out, and right for like what would be 4 issues. But I think it works better as a story than trying to break it up. It's already got 4 natural cliffhangers, so it would work as issues. But
how long have you two been collaborating together?
Actually, not very long. I think April. I think June when we were at Denver Comic Con. I said, should we get a picture out of you for Portland? And you said, yeah. So that's how long we've been collaborating, but that's not for any other reason. We've known each other for 4 years, and I always felt that he was always doing his own thing. He had what he was doing, you know what I mean? Why would he bother? He's got enough going on already. You know what I mean? But I don't know, it just seemed like the right time to say, hey, do you want to do this? Because we've always, like I said, we were toyed about the whole G.I. Joe comic we would do, where we start with the Revolutionary War with the first generation G.I. Joe, and then to keep moving on the generation of G.I. Joes, and those would be your Joes for those wars. And we both had that common love, and we became really good friends, but we never really had talked about even collaborating until this one. And just I did the classic 3 things do you want to draw? And he told me he wanted to draw landscapes, jetpacks, and machinery. So from that, I came up with a story and said, hey, does this work for you?
I've worked creatively around Jay a lot and understand his creative process and the way the schedules work for him and the amount of time that he puts into his work. So I feel like we're coming at it with a good understanding of each other's capabilities and an eagerness.
So, what do you think of collaborating with one another versus other collaborators you've had in the past?
Jay comes to the story with a good focus on the characters and knowing where he wants to take his story and fleshing it out in advance. We've spitballed a lot of stories before, So I feel like we have an ability to
I think that's a
flex
really
creatively.
yeah. I think that's a really big key too. Is that we just spitballed a lot of stories off each other. Like I read his stuff and give him notes. He gives me, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So when me writing a story for him, it was more like, okay, let's kind of do this. Does this work? And kind of shoving like, here's the corner that I think you're comfortable in. How does this feel? You know what I mean?
Right.
I always get a lot of rigorous honesty out of Jay when it comes to my artwork, which is absolutely fantastic. If there is something I'm doing with the art that could be tweaked or pushed a little bit to either side to bring the storytelling up to another level, I always know about it. He's not afraid to tell me or shy about it, which is really nice.
I'm smarter than I'm talented.
So that's a nice trait. It's good to have in a partner who's willing to be able to tell you the way that it is,
And expect it the same way back. I mean, if you don't like what I'm doing in the story, I expect the same thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So what's your binder out for?
This is a collection of everything that I've either printed for the first time or reproduced and done a second production of in the last year. I've done 13 self-published books since Dink earlier this year, which is crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of books.
That is.
It's great, though. I isolated for about 2 months. I didn't come out of the draw cave, but it's all done now. And it was incredibly freeing to have the production done on all of these. During the lead up to the Dink event in Denver, that stands for the Denver Independent Comics and Art Expo, I was working with 5 different printers across town over the course of 3 weeks to print what was 9 different production pieces at that time. So it was logistically kind of crazy. It was very, very manic. I was incredibly manic during that time period. Nonstop emails and phone calls, and also producing books at the same time. It's the same point at which I just realized that every single thing I had in production could be done all at once. And when we were just a short period of time out from the Dink event happening, it occurred to me kind of vividly that I was at an all-time production high. Every minute of my day was being used productively, and I had no more than come to that realization that, like, at this time I have absolutely no way to add on any more projects. I maxed out creatively, and it felt so good. It wasn't tiresome at all. And then I got a phone call from one of the organizers of the event, and he asked me if I could put together a poster and have it to him in 2 days to advertise the event. And I did it. I got her done. So I did one of the marketing posters for the event this year as well. And got to have kind of a special place there on the floor.
Well, and just a shout out to Dink in itself. It's one of the best shows I've ever done in the world. I mean, it's just little indie comics, and people who really the people who are there to buy independent art. They're not there as like a giant Comic-Con. There's no cosplay. There's none of that stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a little indie show, and people come and buy books. They're not there to buy tchotchkes. It's fucking great.
So much talent.
Yeah, it's really nice. Matt Kent and Jeff Lemire, I guess, are the headliners this year.
Oh, very nice.
So, our friend Charlie LaGreca runs the show, and he's got a lot of chips he can cash in. He knows a lot of people, and he's a great, one of the best human beings I've ever met in my life. So.
And how long has that show been going on? Do you know?
This will be its 3rd year.
3rd year. Okay.
But he was one of the original organizers of the Denver Comic-Con.
Okay.
That started 6 years ago. And when he stepped out of that, he started Dink afterwards. He just didn't want to deal with all of the commercial side of things. He didn't want the celebrities. He just wanted to make comics shows.
Right.
He's worked for DC Comics. He's worked for Disney. He's a veteran. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
He's a good man who just wants to put on a great comic show, a great art show, and it's awesome.
So what do you guys do to promote yourself outside of Comic-Cons?
Very little. I got a life, man. I got a real job. Making comics. If I can get time to make comics, that's escape right there. You know what I mean? I got a little bit of website that has not been updated since my old Mac died because I can't get off the old Mac site yet, and I'm too lazy to build my. I have the Squarespace site. I have it. I know Squarespace. Thank you, Squarespace. I have the site. It's all there. I just gotta fucking do it, but. It's hundreds of pages at this point. Rebuild.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I do.
And it looks daunting.
I absolutely do.
I mean, so it's there. It's coming. It'll come. But outside of that, I don't know. Hopefully, I like that my friends read the book, and they usually tell people that they like the book, and hopefully they keep telling people they like the book, man.
So word of mouth.
Well, I mean, it's what it's art.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's art, and it's what I have.
Yeah.
This is what I want to make, and fuck you. If you don't want to buy it, that's fine too. You know what I mean?
And about how many shows are you doing per year currently, Jay?
Well, I do HeroesCon every year just because it's my personal vacation.
Okay.
It's my birthday weekend usually every year, somewhere around there at least, so I get to use it as an excuse. I love going to HeroesCon because so many of my friends that I know have developed through the years go there. Everybody's there. It's fucking beautiful. It usually coincides with the Denver Comic Con, which I used to do all the time, but you know what? Fuck them. And Dink, I do every year, and then I usually try to get around like ran to this one, probably 2 or 3 more, depending where. And it depends. Like I try to change it up because even when Drew is doing short stack regularly, it takes him a year to do the 23 page cover in 22 pages because he's hand watercoloring every page and everything,
right.
You know what I mean? So it was only a book a year anyway. So we usually just kind of try to hit around to different parts of the country, depending on what's going on when. And I'm always depends too. On a lark, where do I feel like going? You know what I mean? Oh, is there a Comic-Con there? Go there then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
I'm a full-time freelance artist. I do illustration, graphic design. I focus on comics and storyboarding, and I also do a lot of large-scale projects for our specialty clients. I'm always advertising my services. I'm usually spending a fairly large chunk of every day writing pitches and proposals, cold calling potential new clients, touching base with old clients. Comics at this point are about 1/3 of my income, and I'm immensely grateful for that. I love making comics, and I'd like to continue to push that to be 100% of my income one day. The reality of the art world is that that's not really the way that things work all the time, but if I can make that happen, I'd love to be one of those guys. I keep really, really busy. Generally, when I have a new project, I have to figure out how it's going to fit into my schedule, and it's immensely important to me, and definitely a cornerstone of my entire business to be able to accurately reflect to the client how long a thing will take, and when it will be done.
But I can say as a former employer that I hired Jay James to do freelance work for me through my real job, not just through me, but through my real job. I had them hire him because I needed some graphic design work that normally I would have been the guy doing, but I didn't have fucking time to do it. So I said, hey, I got a buddy who can do it. Bring him in, he'll be fine. And so he worked for us for about 4 months, 3 months?
Yeah, it was rad. I made a 200-page book.
Yeah. Not the most thrilling preventive maintenance in the Boulder Medical Center. Someone had to do it. It wasn't going to be me, damn it. I had to write the damn thing. Well, actually, I didn't even write it. I let you guys write it, too. I just had to edit it. Sweet.
It was very heavy on technical information. It was a lot of fun to do. So I was going to guys who'd been working with machinery for decades and having them revise the text. And I was like, this isn't on me. I really need to make sure you check next to every one of these lines.
Sounds smart to do.
Yeah. Right.
So, what are you doing to promote your comics? If they're a third party of your income, do you mean that freelance work is a third party of your income, or the sales from the books you've self-published?
That's a good question. That's a good distinction. It's a mixture of commissioned comic book work, and the sales from my books. Definitely.
So, what are you doing to market your own comics that you're self-publishing?
You know, a lot of it's getting it out there to the specialty markets.
Mm-hmm.
Getting distribution through the diamond system is something that I just don't have an ability to do right now. So making sure they're out there in the places where people look and that they're available in my mail is a big deal.
Right.
I have newsletters and pretty large mailing list for that kind of thing. We had a Kickstarter recently through for the company Mothermind, which was producing the Show Devils comic, and I contributed to the final issue of the 4-issue Show Devils comic through Mothermind. And near the end of the Kickstarter there, I helped promote that, and we pushed it through the final stages of funding.
Are there certain social media channels you're using to promote?
Oh, gosh.
Or is it just hand selling at Comic Cons that you're then able to turn into digital marketing via your newsletter, things like that? I mean, like, do you use Facebook a lot, Instagram, Tumblr?
I'm really glad you asked that question. Facebook is all business for me. Not a lot of people use it that way, but
it's primarily how I use it.
It's all about comics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use it for anything except for comics.
You say that, but I don't think that's true. There, you're posting art. You mean you're posting art on your website? I mean, I know what you're saying. It's business, right? You're not posting stuff about your family, but I don't either. But that's not saying that you don't post. I mean, you post art.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Instagram has been really kind to me.
So you use Facebook primarily for business.
That's right.
And you're on Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Instagram. I was a late bloomer. I use my Instagram. Like I lean heavily into it. I love it.
No, but you use it the right way. You don't. It's not pictures of food or you on vacation or. No, it's a gallery. Like if you want to see his artwork, it's a gallery. His is how I made mine. I saw what he was doing, and that's how I did mine.
So you are on Instagram as well, Jay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was recently humbled to be asked to exhibit in a gallery in Denver called the Alto Gallery with some other like fantastic talents like Daniel Crozier and Gerard Cahoui. And there were only 6 of us. We were selected as prominent local comic artists in Denver to exhibit in a gallery. And so the piece that I created for that is a 30-inch by 40-inch piece that blends watercolor with papercraft and vector art to create a large narrative comic all in one piece mounted on wood. And I took it into Photoshop and broke it up for Instagram, so it's a wall. It's a wall of probably, gosh, I don't know, 12 images.
12.
Yeah. Which is really fun. It was a lot of fun to do. And right now I'm on a 30-day promotional tour. And so I haven't been in Boulder for 2 weeks, and I won't be back for 2 weeks.
Explain what you mean by 30-day promotional tour.
I've been taking the Amtrak around the country, going to different cities to go into specialty stores to form relationships
and by
with
specialty stores, are you just talking comic shops? You talking independent bookstores?
A mixture.
Okay.
Mixture. A lot of comic book stores stick to mainstream, so I'm trying to be specific and stick to the ones who do specialize in self-published work.
Yeah.
And that does mean a lot of bookstores.
Or at least are friendly towards, I would assume, because you mentioned Cosmic Monkey earlier, who certainly has mainstream stuff, but they are very indie-friendly. They've helped my career out immensely. So.
Yeah, it's a great place.
Cheers.
Yep. I was doing that. You can't see that, so good thing you said it.
As part of that trip, I've gotten a small pad of Bristol paper, and every day of my journey, I'm doing a small water wash India ink painting and making it an Instagram post. So it's a daily sketch journal for my tour.
Okay. And do you take part in Inktober?
I did something for 3 years in a row called 30 Characters in November, which is basically the same thing. This year I'm going to do Inktober, and I absolutely have it figured out what I'm going to do.
Be careful, you got 24-hour comic day. That's why you don't do Inktober, is because you're usually doing 24-hour comic day in October.
I can make it happen. I'm also going on another trip during that month, too, so I got this figured out.
Shit's locked down.
So in your 30-day marketing tour, How many shops have you managed to hit up thus far?
Let's see. Well, it started out in Idaho and Eastern Washington, so I went to a lot of the cities that I used to live in and come from.
Mm-hmm.
Those are smaller towns. So at this point, about halfway through, I've only been to, I think, 6 places to drop off work. But now I'm in Portland, and I haven't made my visits here yet. So when the show's over after Rose City this year, I've got 4 days to go to the stores here.
Okay.
And then I'm going to Seattle, and then I'm going to go to Hollywood. And I've got the better part of a week in Burbank, which will be a new experience.
Mm-hmm. And what's the reception been like thus far?
I think that people are usually really excited to see the volume that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And also the variety. Different vendors appreciate different kinds of work. There are a lot of cool places that aren't interested in comics, but they're really drawn to zines.
Mm.
So having a little binder like this makes it easy for me to be able to present everything one at a time and then see what they're interested in.
Makes sense.
I don't really give two shits about social media. I do have an Instagram, paperteamproductions.com #JSternit, but it is just a gallery of the art that the people that work with me and graciously do so. So that's all it is. You're not going to get me with my kids. You're not going to get me with anything else. It's just art. So it's a gallery, like it should be.
I agree.
And you should follow my cousin Rob Sternitzky. He's also really good. He's a photographer.
I did it today.
See? 2 thumbs up.
So do you use anything like Tumblr?
Nope.
No?
I have
like
a Facebook account. I do not want to be on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Because anything you can say in only 141 characters isn't worth fucking saying. I'm a fucking writer, damn it. I've got a fucking scroll to send you.
I don't know, the greatest words ever
I'd rather have a
are
raven
less
than
than
Twitter.
that many characters.
Mm-mm.
Fuck you.
No.
So,
You just don't. You think that, but then you have to elaborate on why the fuck you is important.
That's true. That is true.
Anyone can say fuck you.
So Jay, where can people find you?
You can see my really out-of-date website at paperdreamproductions.com. It will be updated soon. Thank you, squarespace.com. And otherwise, you can follow the gallery of the work of people that I work with, Drew Sternitzky, Matteo Cantu, and Rick Vanderheit, and soon-to-be J. James McFarland and Amanda Semler. And after that, that's Instagram, paperdreamproductions_JSternit. Otherwise, I'll just find you out there at a convention somewhere eventually.
Okay.
You can find me at my portfolio website, jjamesdesignandillustration, all spelled out, .com. That's a place where you can look at the work that I've already made if you want to commission me for a piece or hire me. There's a shop link on there, and that takes you to my comic-specific shop, which is friendlybelligerent.com. I'm all over Instagram all the time. I love it there. And that's James McFarland. And, the J is just a J. McFarland.
Yeah, we do confuse people.
Super easy to find on Facebook.
Okay. So it's safe to say you like long titles that people have to type in to find you.
So do I.
Okay.
Every book I have has a colon and a fucking
I don't know,
explanation.
yours
after
doesn't
it.
have design and illustration.com.
What? Short stack, Tales of a Superman Polar,
I just
Rolo,
want to be
nuclear
specific.
power pacifist robot. Everything's got a problem with it.
I'm not sure if that was the criteria or if I'm just gifted that way.
It's a gift as far as I'm concerned. So that's it for this interview, but we are planning on having both of these gentlemen again in the future.